So we'll move forward to our second session for the day. Again, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce Rahul Ajmera, our very own CREDAI member. He is a third generation real estate developer from Pune. He is currently handling sales and site execution in his company Vasupujya Corporation. He is a civil engineer from IIT Bombay and a passion for analytics and research. He does research for himself as well as for some corporates. Today, he'll share some insights and a case study of how a well-researched project helped him achieve targets which him and even his family had never thought, and how small changes in a project while designing and while marketing can really boost your sales. And fun fact, he also lives in one of his own colonies, so that is like the definition of customer centricity. So let's deep dive into a IITians and a developer's perspective to sales through proper research and designing. Are you in, Rahul?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Am I audible? Is my screen visible?
You can go on.
All right. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for this. It's been a pleasure. And I think what Pankaj ji had told in the previous session, he explained it very nicely. Ideally, before you start a project, there is a lot of research that has to be done. Small aspects have to be taken care because you're spending crores and crores of rupees. You don't want to be stuck with a project which does not execute as per your expectations. So let me start off. So basically, I'm just going to be presenting a case study, and I'm going to be explaining how we use research to execute our project. What we need to do as developers is we need to do more and more research. We need to talk to customers, and as you do this research, you will gain an insight. And once you gain insight, with that insight, you will be able to plan your projects in the future. So that is why I've named my topic presentation as From Insight to Foresight. The most basic question that people ask is why should you actually start? Why should you research before you start a project? I mean, our fathers, grandfathers, I mean, those who've been in construction for 20, 30 years, I don't think they did any type of research. But earlier times, there were very few developers to start off with. And there was a large need of homes. So whatever product was entering the market, it was easy to sell that. But today there are hundreds of developers. And there is a lot of supply also. Demand is also there. But if you go wrong, then people will not buy the product because they'll have other options as well. So let me start off with a good example. So this is a project based, a developer's project in Pune. This one. Yeah. So this is a real estate developer's project in Pune. I think he's one of the best developers in the country. He brings the best brands. He's one of the pioneers of top grade A commercial development in the country. And these are the sales figures for one of his projects that he launched in Pune 10 years back. A very great project, great name, great product. He started off with a ticket size of 11 to 12 crores per apartment. But you can see the sales velocity of the project over the years. In 2013, when he launched, he sold about 10 units. But after that, he's been able to sell only 1 or 2 units per year. You can see in the last 10 years, he's actually sold only 22 units, meaning half of the project is still unsold till date. I visited this project personally in the year 2017, 2018 when it was completed. And till date, that is it, till 2023, I still get calls from that site if I'm interested to purchase a property there. So if one of the best developers in India can probably kind of go wrong with the project, then who are we? I mean, even we can probably go wrong. So in my opinion, a successful real estate project is one which has a good product, it has good sales, and at the end of the day, you have to make good profits. And there's an irony in all of this. a good product will not guarantee good sales, and good sales will not guarantee good profits. In order to get all these three things right, you have to plan it and price it. And for that precisely is why you need research. So normally people don't like to spend money on research, but it is better to spend a few lakh of rupees on proper market research than to sit on a few crores worth of unsold inventory. This is a bitter fact with which a lot of developers have to face. And I think, as Pankaj sir has said, he has a lot of data available at his disposal. It would be good to meet people like him, get data on projects around your land beforehand, and do research, because you don't want to start the project with wrong expectations, thinking that I will sell it in 3 years' time, when actually it would probably take 6 or 7 years to sell. So our entire presentation, we will break it up into three parts. First is objective data. Research basically is broken up into two aspects. One is objective data, second is subjective data. In objective data, we basically talk about numbers. Numbers as in what are the new launches, how much sale is happening. And this real authentic data you can buy from companies like Lysis, Forus, CRE Matrix, PropStack. This is real factual data. The second is subjective data. Subjective data is basically information or feedback. So when you talk to your customers, you talk to your employees, only when you talk to them and you understand what their problems are, what is going right, what is going wrong, you will get that feedback, and in your mind you will be able to capture that subjective data. Usually what developers do is that they create Google forms and they create physical forms to capture this information, but I think that is not really the right way to capture that data. So lastly, what we'll do is we'll just see a case study in which how we can use objective data, subjective data, and how we went for project planning. So this is a simple case study. So it's a case study of how we planned a project of 200 units on a 2-acre land parcel in South Pune. How we use principles of objective and subjective research. So just to give people a background about this area. So before 2010, this was a very good area. A lot of projects were there and profit margins were very good. Because of this, so many developers entered this area. Many of them wrongly priced their projects. Many of them did not have intention to deliver on time. And there was so much of delays that half of the projects in this area were delayed beyond their era deadlines. And because of that, the customers lost interest. They lost the confidence in this area. And the average sale prices were almost same for 7 years, from 2012 to 2018. So just a disclaimer that this case study may not be applicable to everyone. I mean, you have to figure out what will work for you, what will not work for you. It is just a general case study of what probably worked for me. So you can see I put a chart over there. So like Pankaj ji had said, you need to study your competitors, because your competitors are like the mirror. So you need to study the data of 10 to 15 competitors. So here what we are doing is we are just studying the sales velocity of these various competing projects. And this is the sales velocity every 6 months. So you see how well they are selling. And when you look at this chart, if you see what trend I was able to infer, I mean, these are just 6 projects. We have to see it for 10, 15 projects. What trend we were able to figure out is that the sales are slow in the initial stages of the project. And they pick up very rapidly towards the end, in the near possession stage. The good part is that once the project reaches the ready possession stage, within 6 months, the inventory gets sold out. But maximum of that sales velocity only comes in the nearing possession. So then this is very important from the debt planning perspective. The developers should understand that if the sales are going to be slow at the start, they have to take on proportionate amounts of debt so that the construction is not hampered. So with this data, what we assumed is that we will be cash flow negative for 2 years. I assume that I will take 3 years to finish the project, and the first 2 years I will be cash flow negative. I also did something a bit unconventional. I did not have a project launch. I spent zero. I did not do anything towards the project launch because I thought it is futile. This kind of worked for us because even when I launched my project, we were also cash flow negative for 2 years. But because my debt planning was done properly, I did not have any problem and my construction space was not hampered. Some of the common mistakes that developers make is that they assume that we will sell inventory very quickly. फटाफट माल बेच देंगे, जल्दी निकल जाएंगे. And when that sale is not fast and they start feeling the pressure, so this reduces speed of construction, or they start exploring ki, can I take a short bridge debt, can I take a high interest loan last minute. Because of this, your project will lose momentum, and eventually if you lose momentum, your profitability will take a hit. The next thing to study is basically your sales pricing. At what sales prices are your adjoining projects selling? This is more or less like it gives you the aukat of the market. I mean, what is the market priced at? So if you see the sales chart, you can see that most of the projects here are selling around the 4,000 rupee price bracket. That tells you that this is the actual budget range of the market. So usually what developers do is they first design the project and then they price it. But what we did was we realized that since most of the projects here are selling in this price range, we should make a project which is catering to this price range only. So we said that, okay, we are going to launch a project which we will sell at roughly around 4,000 rupees per square foot. And accordingly, I will finalize my project specifications. So at this sales price of 4,000 rupees per square foot, a developer cannot give Italian marble. He cannot give UPVC windows. He cannot give Grohe fittings. He cannot give veneer fitted doors, smart locks. You have to be very careful in the kind of specifications you give. This is not the affordable sector, but it's neither the premium sector. So you have to find the right blend. What common mistakes that developers make is that they assume that I will give top-end specifications. I will give them veneer doors, smart locks. I'll give them fully furnished kitchens, and I will get a higher sales price. But more often than not, that does not happen. A lot of customers prefer to go for the rock bottom price, and they don't really pay you higher than what they are paying your competitor. Because real estate is generally mostly about the location. And yes, outliers are there, but it is very difficult to beat the average market pricing and sell at a significant premium compared to others. So what is outlier data? So basically, outlier data is basically projects that we should exclude from our study, but you should not ignore it entirely. Or what kind of projects you should exclude? You should exclude projects that are delayed or whose construction speed is very slow, that are going on for 5 years, 6 years, because their sales data is of no use to you. Also, you should look out for projects by large branded developers where buyers could be investors from other geographic regions or other countries, which maybe you might not be able to target. So for example, we noticed that close to our project, Godrej Properties had launched their project and they sold their inventory very fast. They sold 500 units a year and their product was a compact 2 BHK of 570 square feet. So in the outskirts of Pune, people expect large houses, but Godrej built a 2 BHK, which is probably smaller than what you'll find in Mumbai, but 570 square feet 2 BHK, and they sold that like hotcakes. And what I observed is that when a fellow adjoining developer, he tried to copy the same strategy. He tried to make compact 2 BHKs of 600 square feet, thinking that yes, if Godrej was able to sell, even probably he might be able to sell. And unfortunately, he's still not been able to clear his inventory, and he's been in the ready possession stage for last 3 years. And still his inventory is unsold. So you have to be very careful. You cannot actually copy outlier projects and outlier developers. You should look at them, but don't include them in your study. So let us try to analyze how should we size our flats. So we look at the data that shows how many flats are selling of a particular size. So out here you can see in the chart that almost maximum sale is of the 1,000 to 1,100 square feet category, where maximum sale is happening. So ideally, if you want to enter the market, you should probably be designing this inventory because it is selling very fast and this is what the people in the market want. But what we observed is that there's a supply gap in this category. not too many developers are having inventory of this category, and it's an opportunity for us because in a slow selling market, I don't want to compete with other people. So what we decided to do was we decided to launch an inventory of 980 square feet, which is almost 1,000 square feet. And what we noticed is that within 2 years of our launch, 4 other projects also launched with the same size inventory, but we already had a head start over them. Some of the common mistakes that developers make is that they assume that it is easy to sell compact flats at high prices and large flat at higher prices. Like, for example, I told you about the developer who made 600 square feet 2 BHKs. He tried to price it high, it wasn't working. I've seen other developers, one developer next to me, he built 900 square feet carpet area 2 BHKs. So they were very huge in size, and he was not able to realize the price that he wanted, and he was stuck in the ready possession stage inventory for almost 4 or 5 years before selling out. It's important to design your flats well. Smaller flats could get impractical at times, and larger flats could probably be out of budget for the home buyer. So finding the right blend where you have to design a flat that is small but practical and also in the budget of the home buyer without making him feel that this is too small or out of my budget. Finally, we also have to see what is the flat agreement value. So agreement value is basically the value of the flat that is there in the registration during the registration value of the flat on which taxes are loaded. So again, what we observed out here is if you look at the chart out here, we observed that most of the apartments selling in this micro market were in the range of 35 to 45 lakhs. So this is like a sweet spot. And beyond 45 lakhs, there is very less inventory selling. This is like your value of death. You don't ideally want to launch inventory out here. So what we decided is that, okay, let me try to launch a project which I will quote at 44 lakhs, but I'll close it at 40 lakhs. I observed most of my competitors were quoting well above 50 lakhs. And the advantage what I had was that my sales team did not have to spend too much time in price negotiations because our pricing was practical to what the market was actually closing. And developers, what they do is they price themselves too high. Some of the common mistakes they make. And their sales team struggle with a lot of prolonged negotiations. Their sales closures take a long time. The developer obviously is thinking, let me get a better value for my product. But they don't understand, they've not studied that pricing is difficult to close in that particular micro market. And what they do is they blame the sales team, but they don't realize that that is not the ground reality. Most of the times there is no need to do something drastically different than others. You can stick to what is working for others. And if you copy that, it will work well for you as well. So that was objective research. So now what is subjective research? So subjective research you can get from your customers. You should interact with them as much as possible. You should meet them during pre-sale, sales, post-sales, keep on asking them what they are liking, what they are disliking. You should also visit other project sample flats regularly. As a customer yourself, you should see what other projects are providing. You should see how their sales staff is behaving with you. Is there something that you can probably copy at your project? You also have to you have to also talk to your employees, especially your supervisors or people on the ground. You need to understand if they are facing any engineering difficulties. Is there some problem that could lead to delays in the future? That feedback is also important. And most developers I've seen, they take a lot of their market research data from channel partners. That's good, but you have to be careful. Try to meet a few of them every month, meet them over tea, discuss what's happening in the market, who's buying land, who's launching, any new offers in town. You have to be very careful from feedback that you get from soul selling agencies, exclusive marketing agencies, and international property consultants. They're usually just trying to get your business. And I've seen that generally 80 to 90% of advice that they give me is just rubbish. So you have to use your head. You have to retain what advice is good and what is not good, just filter it out. So The most important thing that you can give to your customer after possession is your time and attention. And that will drive more customers to your business. Usually, after your possession, developers are busy with their next launch. I understand that is how it generally is, but your customers are facing the most difficulty after possession only. That is when they really want you to give your time and help them with problem resolutions. So, what we do is at our companies, we have open house meetings very regularly, on a quarterly basis. This is prior to possession, even post possession. It's better to meet the customers regularly in small groups so that they can vent out their problems. Don't meet them hundreds at a time, just meet them in small groups. This will help them vent out their problems, and this will prevent like a volcano from exploding later on. A lot of developers have faced that. And then they would have realized it's better to have resolved this problem earlier. Another part is a very controversial topic, WhatsApp groups. So after you give possession, your society will inevitably, your customers will get together and form a WhatsApp group. But what we did was, before the customers could form the WhatsApp group, we created the WhatsApp group. We created a society WhatsApp group. We not only put customers in them, in the WhatsApp group, we put their spouses, their parents, all their family members who are going to be staying with them in that house. So I had this massive WhatsApp group of like hundreds of members. And on that WhatsApp group, my engineering team was there, my sales team was there, and we were able to see issues because we could live see issues if there was a leakage, there's a seepage, something's broken. And those problems were resolved like within 24 hours. We did not want problems to escalate. And we could observe some problems were recurring very regularly. We made note of it and we tried to improve those designs in future projects. Lastly is the 20-80 rule. So 20% of customers will take 80% of your time. If you can keep them satisfied, they will become your shield and flag bearers. So I'll give you an example here of one customer. He was just continuously after my sales team after possession to get things right. He was not very, no matter how much help we were offering him, he was not very satisfied. He finally got annoyed, fired my sales team. My sales team told me that we don't want to work, we don't want to do things for him because he's just very rude to us. So I told the customer that, okay, now I will resolve your problems. You come to me directly. He had very small problems. His bathroom block was not working. I got it replaced. His window was not aligned. I got it realigned. His shower pressure was not good. I found some blockage in the pipes, got it rectified. I mean, these are small problems. But then that customer felt so satisfied that what happened is that in the future, he gave me 2 referrals. And I remember there was this one time on the WhatsApp group where 2 or 3 people were annoyed because the builder was part of the WhatsApp group. So they told that the builder should not be part of the WhatsApp group. We should kick him out. But this gentleman who was complaining so much and whose complaints I helped resolve, he came forward and he said that if you remove the builder, then even I will leave the WhatsApp group. So he came to defend me on a public forum. And there was a time when he was eating my sales team's head so much that we thought, ki, kya karenge abhi is aadmi ka? But because we kept him satisfied, he became my shield. And today he's even giving me referrals. So this is very important that you should try to give your customers time. And if you keep them satisfied, they will be an asset for you. So lastly, going forward, since we've gone ahead of objective research will guide you on what to make, as in what should be your ticket size, what should be your ticket price. But subjective research will guide you on how you should be making that project. So feedback is very important. What we did was we met actual residents of adjoining societies near my project land, and we took feedback from them on what are the pros and cons of their existing project. And just to give an example, this project was in a water scarcity area, and a lot of societies there, they switched off their swimming pools. And they said ki swimming pool diya hai, but pani nahi hai, so we do not want to even keep it operational. This feedback was important for us, so we did not plan for a swimming pool in our project. Also, one feedback people gave is that the amount of open spaces that developers have given is very less. At that price point of 4,000 rupees, it's hard to give a lot of open spaces because your project land itself is very small. But we had to figure a way around to give more open spaces. Layout study is very important. You need to study the floor plan of all your competitors and make up pros and cons of each. For example, one common practice I've seen is that developers, they put 8 flats per floor. They put 4 flats on one side of the building, 4 flats on the other side, and each side they put one lift. But what they don't understand is that one lift for a 12-story building is not sufficient. You need to have 2 or 3 lifts next to each other. As a developer, they will say, I have provided 2 lifts in the building, but they are not next to each other. They are far away from each other. Many of them don't provide proper ventilation in the kitchen. They provide basements where there tends to be flooding at times. One feedback we got was that buyers want an aspirational big main gate. They want their project to look luxurious. So, lastly, what women want. I mean, no one can actually technically answer that question, but jokes aside, women are very important stakeholders and they are the key decision makers. You need to focus on the smaller things that may have a disproportionate impact on them. Many times women spend more time at home compared to their husbands. So you need to figure out what features are more beneficial towards them that they will like. Just for example, what we did was I always had this feedback from my mother and my wife that in the afternoon there are a lot of deliveries happening, like from Amazon, Flipkart, and it disturbs them because they're normally sleeping or if they are putting the kid to sleep. So what I did at my house was I provided a doorbell switch where I can switch off the doorbell, and I provided that at my project itself. And I got so much positive feedback because a lot of young mothers, they are using that feature. They're switching off the doorbell in the afternoon when they're probably putting their kid to sleep. And it's a small thing. We also provide safety doors. We don't provide video door phones. We provide a real safety door because a safety door provides ventilation, and also the husbands feel safe that, okay, fine, there's an actual physical barrier of safety, an additional barrier of safety. So these are small things that we've provided, and I've seen that it has a significant impact on the key decision makers. So on the basis of feedback, this is basically how we planned our project. We had to give more open spaces. So how do I give open spaces when I have a very small plot size? So as all of you can see, I provided a rooftop football ground and cricket ground, and I covered it with nets so the ball cannot go out. We provided rubber flooring, so there's noise insulation. We provided a children's play area out here. We barricaded everything, so there is safety is taken care of. We provided a rooftop community lounge out here where people can throw private events. Because in the clubhouse, normally the event is public. People can see what's happening in the clubhouse, but on the rooftop, people can have private events. They can probably consume alcohol. They can eat non-veg, which is generally frowned upon by most of the society members. In front of the clubhouse, normally people provide children's play area, but we gave an open lawn so that we wanted to have maximum usable space so that events can be hosted both indoors as well as outdoors. This is to do with my project planning. Regarding my my flat layout. So what feedback what we had received was people, this was pre-COVID, during COVID, people had started working from home. So we provided an additional balcony outside their master bedroom. So for a 2 BHK flat with 2 balconies in the living and master bedroom, that itself is it's a novel feature. So this balcony we provided that people could use for work from home. We also provided French doors in the living room. Normally people provide aluminum sliding doors, but when you have French doors, you can open it. And once you open it, your balcony also is essentially like a part of the living room itself. This gave a feeling of openness. And normally in a 2 BHK, both bedrooms are on one side of the flat. This is a butterfly layout where you have both bedrooms on opposite sides of the living room. This is very rarely done. But what feedback we had received from customers is that normally their parents are staying, their kids are staying, and they also want privacy from their own parents. They also want privacy from their own kids. So they don't want both the bedrooms on one side. And when we did this, people really loved this layout. I mean, the area is very less, 725 square feet. It's not that big an area for a 2 BHK. But people really loved the way we utilized the space and what kind of features we gave them within their home. So I would want to conclude my presentation with this last slide. Was my project successful? So I'll just put some numbers here and you can have a look at those numbers and then you can take a call. My sales and marketing expense was 3% as percentage of my total sales. And this includes my sales staff salaries, my advertising expenses, digital marketing expenses, hoarding expenses. And this also includes brokerage, by the way. So because we were very careful with how we spent our money, we were able to save a lot on sales and marketing. We were able to achieve a premium pricing of 10% over the average sales price over the competitors. And this is despite a couple of drawbacks I had at my project. I had MHADA or EWS flats within the project. It is a mandatory requirement by law. I had those flats within my project itself. I did not have them in a separate building. And 25% of my inventory was purely south-facing exits. And south-facing inventory is extremely difficult to sell. But despite all these drawbacks, I was able to get premium pricing. And I sold 95% of my inventory within 2 years from launch, 6 months before completion. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I am ready to take those.
Yes, thank you so much, Rahul. These were really insightful, the data you shared of your own projects and about the community. Such small things, most of the builders do it in bits and pieces, but just when properly researched and aligned for a project, it can do wonders, as the numbers showed in the last slide. Let me quickly get to the questions. Have you noticed any specifications or amenities which, like, generally most of the builders provide but are not of very key value and affecting the decision making of a customer?
So that varies basically from project to project. Like I gave the example
One
that
of your experiences.
yeah, so at my project, I found out that swimming pool was an amenity that people were not very keen to have. And there are small things that developers give. Like I told you, developers give UPVC windows for low-end projects. Not required. A good, inexpensive aluminum window will do the trick. I did not even provide laminated doors, by the way. I only provided oil-painted doors. It did not have any impact in sales. You need not go for A quality tiles, let's say from Asian Kajaria. You can go for so we went to the manufacturer of Kajaria and we got tiles directly from the manufacturer. Like so those are the small places where you can save money. And those specifications actually don't matter to the customer. Customer is only looking at the layout and the budget basically.
And since your marketing costs have been so low of your amount of sales, so I am understanding most of this is through reference sales.
So that is the irony. I have two buildings. In my first building, which I launched at the start, when I in the initial stages of construction, 50% of my sales were through brokers. And towards the end, in the second building, which was towards the latter part of the construction, the second half of the project, I had 75% sales through brokers. And I had a lot of small brokers, and one broker particularly, he sold about 15% of my inventory. And he was able to get a brokerage of 3% for those 15% sales that he did. But out and out, if you look at it, brokerage would probably attribute about 1.5% of my total sales and marketing cost.
Okay. And one of the questions is, what is the delivery status of the project currently?
The project was delivered about 8 months back.
Perfect. So, what is your take on eco-friendly houses like green buildings and stuff, which is booming currently? And what is the status in Pune about that?
So in Pune, if you have a project that requires environmental clearance, it's mostly complying to all your green building requirements. And even if it is not, most of the green building requirements are taken care of by the development rules, like providing solar and energy saving. Like nowadays, developers give LED lights only. So
Hmm.
all those aspects are already taken care of. People are already using fly ash bricks. So I don't see that eco-friendly is now the norm. But I don't think customers are going to pay you more if you're eco-friendly.
Correct. Way to go in that.
Yes.
Okay, then thank you so much. Even I myself is currently planning for two of my upcoming projects, and so must be most of people here. And it's like really getting advices from a developer, his own experience on how to do things. We planned this event like we'll have how to do the research and then how to apply. And I think both these sessions were bang on. He was full on data and how to go through it. And your numbers and your PPT was all about how to apply this and an example of a successful project where the application worked. So it was very, very insightful. And again, thank you so much. It was truly like an IITian's perspective in sales and how technically going about each step can help you boost the sales.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll request Himanshu to come and conclude the session.
Thank you, Navneet. I'd like to thank our complete committee for their hard work, and a special thank to Pankaj and Rahul for taking out the time to prepare and present their views. Um, I also want to thank all participants who joined our committee's first online event. We're looking to plan more such events with the aim to help all our fellow developers understand our customers better, thereby contributing to greater success in their business. We look forward to such a great turnout in the future too. Thank you and have a good day.